Search for Zahra went from an Amber Alert to a homicide investigation.
No sign of Zahra.
Dad is out free.
Seems concerned.
Dad says he hasn't seen her since Thursday.
I don't know how sincere his concern is.
Inconsistencies.
Inconsistencies developed over the course of this investigation.
They resumed the search.
Authorities are hoping to uncover new clues in the whereabouts of missing 10-year-old girl Zahra Baker.
That's certainly tragic. How could anybody not be concerned about their own dog?
Police call Elisa Baker a person of interest and don't know how long the little girl has actually been missing.
Just wanted to give Zahra some closure and give her some peace.
That's certainly tragic. How could anybody not be concerned about their own dog? Just from what I know about this.
Did the father seem sincere when you were talking to him?
He seems concerned.
But you don't believe him?
I don't know how sincere his concern is.
But you don't believe him?
I don't.
And he says he had nothing to do with it.
To Dr. Evelyn Minaya, women's health expert, joining us out of New York, can you explain to me how this little girl would have cared for her leg and her prosthetic leg, and could all the care that was required for this little cancer survivor just have driven the stepmother over the edge to where she hated the little girl? I think that's what Dr. Bethany's saying.
Right. Well, you know what? I can't imagine anyone doing something like that to a child. But most importantly, remember, the prosthesis is actually placed by her. She's the one that puts it on, and usually she walks around, so there's nothing to do. Her hearing aids, she's the one that places it in the ears. So I don't even understand what the stepmother has any involvement whatsoever in terms of her care. That she can't hear, well, you can sign language, and that's about it. But she takes care basically of herself, especially with prosthesis.
Well, you know, another thing, Bethany Marshall, back to what you were saying, if you look at little Zahra, she's talking in some of that footage we've got of her. This little girl could talk.
Well, I don't think it's just that the child needed extraordinary care. I think it's that the child is loved and that the child is a child and that the child has needs.
Yeah,
and
Bethany,
what the mother did is she successfully
I don't think it had anything to do with the extra care this little girl may have needed, because a lot of children need extra care. I mean, you know, Lucy was born at 2 pounds. She weighed 2 pounds. Can you imagine me holding the two of them, trying to make them live? You know, so what if she needed extra care? A lot of children do. So what difference does that make, Bethany?
Well, the difference is that if you have a caretaker who has a severe personality disorder, they don't want anybody else to have needs but them. There's only one baby in the picture, and that is the mother. She was the baby. The little girl couldn't be a baby and have separate needs, and that stimulated a wish in the mother to torture her. And I think the mother's a sadist. At the end of the day,
Tanya
that's the
Hefner,
problem.
this is a neighbor of the Bakers who actually filed charges against the stepmother. Tanya, at least you had the backbone to keep going to police when a lot of people stood by silent and let this happen. They let it happen. Did you ever confront Miss Baker? Because, you know, if I had seen her jerk that little girl by her shirt, I think I may have had to have a fist fight with the woman.
Not at that time I didn't, but the first confrontation we had, we did have an argument over the way she treated the child.
What did she say?
She said I was lying, that didn't happen, and just, you know, continued to curse at me and call me a liar.
And where was Zahra at this time? Was Zahra hearing all this?
No, Zahra was not around at that time.
Back to the calls. We are taking your calls live. We are there at the search site in Morganton, North Carolina. With us, Natisha Lance, our producer, John Miller with the Hickory Daily Record. As the search goes on, the police methodically lying out long poles and searching plot by plot, digging down into the ground. Canine dogs, cadaver dogs, bloodhounds on their stomachs, smelling down into the earth. Police literally on their hands and knees, digging through a giant pile of mulch and wood trimmings, trying to find any trace of Zahra. This, as we know, dogs hitting on an industrial woodcutter used by her father. Eleanor Odom, Peter Odom, Alan Ripka, What about a forensic interview, Eleanor? What about that?
Right, Nancy, I'm shocked that when DFACS went out there or the cops went out there, they didn't interview the girl, take her to the station, do a specific forensic interview tailored to getting the facts. Exactly, Nancy. That's standard operating procedure.
They may have done it.
Okay, what about Alan Ripka?
Well, I'll tell you right now, this could have been prevented, should have been prevented, and there's going to be a civil lawsuit against this county and against this city because they knew what was going on and didn't do anything about it. And if I tried this case...
We don't know a civil lawsuit by whom? Because their parents are in it up to their nose. I guess their grandmother down in Australia, she had a happy life until they jerked her away from her grandmother. Weigh in, Peter Odom.
Nancy, you see this time and time again. The
No, I don't. I do not see dogs hitting on a wood chipper over and over again.
Listen to me.
But
the
you hear
child
it on
protection
garbage.
authorities don't work together with the police in coordinating the efforts. This might well have been prevented had the authorities spoken with each other. They didn't. Hence, we have a wood chipper.
Put him up. Put him up. Now I'm seeing a defense starting to form. Let's blame DFACS. Sure, they dropped the ball. They are complicit in this whole thing, but trust me, they did not kill Zahra. Back out to the lines. Sheila, are you with me, Sheila?
Yes.
Hi, dear. What's your question?
Hi, yes. Our poor children, I swear, they just don't have anyone to count on this day and time, do they?
No, they don't.
My question is, okay, if the dog sniffed out the wood chipper, okay, can't they test it for DNA or see where they may have...
Good question. Cheryl McCollum, you're the cold case analyst.
Sheila, they're not only going to be able to do that, they're going to take it apart. And I tell you what they're going to look for. They're going to look for something like a tooth. Something that could be stuck in there that they can test DNA for. And Sheila, I want to say something else. Children do have somebody to count on. They've got Nancy Grace and everybody else in this studio tonight.
Better than without them. So I can actually hear more than without my hearing aid.
This child was not put in that wood chipper. Again, there would be blood all over the place. All over the place. The dogs would have picked it up